Hey guys, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. And for those of you who are repeat offenders, welcome back to the Conscious Basket Show. My name is Samantha McCord and I am the founder and CEO of Conscious Basket. And on the show, we are going to be interviewing extraordinary people just trying to make a difference in this world and giving you tips on how you can too. So as always, if you like what we do, please subscribe, download a couple episodes, and leave a comment below. I will read them all. But for now, let's just dive right in.
Let's take a space that's a little bit sterile and antiquated and supplement driven and flip it on its head. We know that everyone's dealing with this behind closed doors. Let's open the door and let's make gut issues sexy, as counterintuitive as that sounds.
Today, we welcome Katie, the gut guardian, and the co-founder and CEO of BelliWelli. Being someone who's joined the IBS Club, having 6 colonoscopies, 4 endoscopies, 26 rounds of antibiotics, all trying to find a way to solve her gut trouble, she was tired of wading through labels and consulting doctors. All she really wanted was to enjoy her food without fear. Seeing how much she was struggling, her chef in Shining Amour, her husband, Nick, crafted a gut-friendly treat she could eat without the consequences. In this episode, we talk about her induction into the IBS family, struggles in the gut-challenged community, following a low-FODMAP diet, and ways to help mitigate your gut issues in a yummy way. Let's dive right in. Hey guys, welcome to the Conscious Basket Show. This is Samantha McCord. I am the founder and CEO of Conscious Basket. We are welcoming Katie, the CEO and founder of BelliWelli. How are you doing, Katie?
I am A-okay. I'm super excited to be here with you today. I know this has been a long time coming, so I'm glad we're finally sitting down and having this conversation.
Well, me too. You've had so many wonderful things happening for you. Had a baby, launched the company, you moved into a new house. So lots of wonderful things to be grateful for. So happy to have you, and thanks for taking the time to chat with us. But I know that we've got a lot to cover, so let's dive right in. I wanted to talk all about BelliWelli. So before you even started BelliWelli, what were you doing beforehand?
Yeah, great question. If you pull me up on LinkedIn, your first question is, why the heck is she starting a CPG company? Because I've spent my career in dating, and more specifically, matchmaking, believe it or not. So prior to starting BelliWelli, I was a matchmaker for 7 years, and more specifically ended up getting into the world of celebrity matchmaking. Great stories for another day, as you might imagine. But in my last few years, I went over to the Match Group and served as their chief dating strategist, and got to see dating from an entirely new lens. Go dating apps. If you're single, join a dating app. And then, of course, full-time BelliWelli now. With all of that in mind, I will never turn down a chance to hear about your love life or talk matchmaking or dating with anyone and everyone. And I still keep a rolling Excel sheet and match people whenever free 10 minutes pop up. Forever addicted to love.
Well, I think that you've made a lot of really wonderful connections in the past, but I think your true love is with BelliWelli now. So what gave you the idea to even launch that bad boy?
Yeah. 6 years ago, I joined the world's worst club, the IBS Club, and inherited gut issues after a bout of food poisoning. We'll spare everyone the nitty gritty, but I had been a mac and cheese and muffin lover prior to gut issues. And so gut issues threw me for a loop. All of a sudden I was studying labels and ingredients and trying to decipher what was causing me stomach pain. Part of my journey was camping out at Cedars here in LA, colonoscopies, endoscopies, breath tests, capsule tests. Most of you probably don't even know what those are. Stool studies, antibiotics, probiotics, every diet under the sun. And I kept coming up short. I kept coming up with nothing's working for me. The phrase that I think so many of us in the gut challenge community can relate to is, my stomach hates me no matter what I do. And I was certainly experiencing that. So that was the reasoning behind BelliWelli. BelliWelli came about more specifically because I was working hard to follow the low-FODMAP diet, which is the diet generally prescribed for anyone with gut challenges, and finding it hard. And then additionally, I was working to cut out gluten and dairy out of my diet. This meant that there were no chocolate chip cookies on the market that I could eat. And for whatever reason, one night I found myself crying because I couldn't eat chocolate chip cookies.
Girl.
Sounds petty, but
no, I would be crying. I would for sure be crying.
I just had a baby too, so I'm sure that was contributing. But my sweet husband said, look, this sounds like something I might be able to move the needle on. So he hired a food scientist and a dietitian and committed to working for 15 to 20 hours in our home kitchen to make me the perfect IBS-friendly chocolate chip cookie. So that's where it all began.
Okay. And so when you guys started making, these cookies and you were like, okay, I think that, we should share this with the rest of the world. How did you end up creating your community?
Yeah. So during that same time, I had started camping out in Facebook groups. One, I was curious about the space, and two, selfishly, I wanted to understand what was working for other people, what general hacks I could incorporate into my own life. And my takeaway was, wow, this community is huge. And that's too bad, right? I mean, I know how tough the struggle is, and it breaks my heart that 70% of US Americans are going through the same struggle. That's what statistics tell us. And that 1 in 5 people now identify as having IBS. And that certainly seemed to be true in what I was seeing. So there were hundreds of Facebook groups dedicated to gut struggles, whether it be SIBO, IBS, IBD, food intolerances, bloating, leaky gut, Crohn's, colitis, you name it. So, studied those day in and day out. And then I decided to start growing my own community. So started creating Facebook groups, community members would join the Facebook groups, lots of interesting, fascinating discussions. And that community really powered our own exploration on our end in both product formulation and how we built the brand.
Yeah, 'cause I feel like a lot of the times for people who don't necessarily have IBS, you think gut health, and it could really be anybody under the sun. You need to take in consideration your gut health overall. And I think that that's what's unique about BelliWelli too. And through your research, I was just curious because you've been struggling with your own personal health issues. What did you learn through these Facebook groups that really surprised you in terms of gut health?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. One, I think what surprised me most is that, there was folks in the groups that had been suffering from gut issues for 6 months, people who've been suffering for 3 years, and people who've been suffering for 25 years. And I realized, and this is quite depressing, that the narrative was hardly ever, wow, I had gut issues for 6 years. And sure enough, I took antibiotic X and they resolved. This sounds crazy as I'm saying it. I'm not sure if I've ever heard a story of someone who had debilitating gut issues and made it out the other end completely with no residual effects. I think we have a lot left to understand about the gut. I think the medical community is placing great emphasis on the gut at this point. But I think gut issues end up being about mitigating your symptoms and mitigating the impact they have on your daily life versus solving them. And I certainly fell into the trap of believing that, this antibiotic didn't work, but the next one will. And I was on a path where I tried 26 antibiotics in the span of 3 months.
Wow.
And layer on top of that, there's kind of plenty of drugs out there that are meant to mitigate gut symptoms. None of them worked for me. And I found this to be true in the community, right? And everyone, almost ended up with these same weird hacks, whether it be peppermint oil capsules to the low-FODMAP diet. But there was never a story in which someone said, yeah, I beat it. I have no gut issues today, and I eat ice cream and pizza all day with no worries. So that's just surprising and depressing all in one.
Yeah, it's such a growing community, like you mentioned, and more people are starting to just get these issues, and it's not getting any better. And, you have your heart health, your brain, and then your other brain is your stomach, so there's just so much to know. And also the way food is produced and the way that we're consuming food today isn't really controlled by you anymore.
Yep.
The quality of the food is different. than it was back in the day. It's probably a big reason why everyone's getting more sick. It's because it's produced the way it is. And thankfully you understood the low, explain to me again.
I do not. Yeah. No one knows what low FODMAP is. So no worries there. Low FODMAP, not to be confused with low FODMAP. The phrase is low FODMAP. I can tell you what it stands for, but I think more importantly, the takeaway is that it's a diet that's generally recommended in the US. You walk into any GI doctor and say, I've got issues, and you're going to get handed the low FODMAP handout. And it's meant for anyone managing GI symptoms. Most, IBS is often the term that's used to kind of summarize these symptoms, but the diet itself does reduce symptoms like bloating, flatulence, if followed correctly. It's not meant to cure IBS. Or cure gut issues, I should say, but it does work to, again, go back to this mitigate symptoms. It technically, just for everyone on the call, stands for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols.
Okay.
Yes, the really kind of common takeaway you'll often see associated with the low FODMAP diet is garlic and onion. So garlic and onion fall into a couple of those categories. So generally, someone with gut issues cuts out garlic and onion and sees great difference. Okay. But read up on low FODMAP. It is totally fascinating. If you Google Monash University low FODMAP, they created the diet. They're the gold standard. They have an app. But it's a total rabbit hole that I so recommend going down if you're experiencing gut issues.
Yeah. And you went down the rabbit hole, made it wasn't actually BelliWelli to begin with. It was something else. And you've had quite a few iterations. Do you want to walk the listeners through like how it began, what it was called, and what it ended up being today?
For sure. So Nick eventually cracked said chocolate chip cookie. And I think I told him.
No more tears, Katie.
No more tears. And I think I said to him at the time, hey, you're going to probably make 10 extra cookies every week. I want to see if the community loves these as much as I do. So I threw up a website. I called it IB Simple. Obviously, stood for IBS.
I actually really like that name though.
I know. I had a really hard time. I had total founder bias when someone told me I needed to change the name and said, I'm not changing it. Threw up IB Simple, created a very kind of scrappy brand to prove out the concept. And we sold 800 bars almost immediately. So Nick became a chief baker overnight. Yes. We have pictures and someday we'll share them. It's too soon right now, but we had to transform our entire kitchen into a commercial kitchen. So our entire kitchen was lined with commercial shelving, commercial ingredient containers. And that marked the start of Nick's journey as
like to also say you guys were living in Los Angeles at the time in an apartment with you had just had a baby, right? Mm-hmm. So it was crowded already. And then you added an industrial kitchen.
Ridiculous. Yeah, it was ridiculous. So Nick was literally staying up till 4:30 a.m., hair netting up, gloving up, masking up, and hand pressing individual chocolate chips into bar molds and baking them. And then we would heat seal them the next morning. I would run the business from the computer. He would heat seal all of them. And then UPS was coming to our house about 3 times a day. So fast forward 3 months, we were doing $10,000 in sales regularly from the home kitchen, which translated to, again, thousands of bars. And it became very, very clear for all sorts of reasons that we needed to scale the business out of the kitchen. And we needed to raise some capital, of course. 2-person team wasn't cutting it. So that's when I think we really said, look, let's take a long, hard look at this. Do we think this is a space worth entering? The answer was absolutely yes. Every kind of hypothesis we had was getting validated daily. And so in that, part of our mission was to really create a thoughtful brand that was more than a proof of concept brand. Mm-hmm. And again, that's when I had a hard time parting with IB Simple, but we had some really incredible advisors, 2 early employees from Smart Suite say, look, we know you love the name. We love it too, but we think there's an opportunity to create a more fun, approachable name. And they were so right. Hence BelliWelli. And we had some incredible designers mock up a brand. I said, look, create a brand that doesn't look like a CPG brand. And the designers came from my time at Match. So they're used to creating beautiful product, and they created what I believe is a really cool and fun brand with the intention of being, let's take a space that's a little bit sterile and antiquated and supplement driven and flip it on its head. We know that everyone's dealing with this behind closed doors. Let's open the door. And let's make gut issues sexy, as counterintuitive as that sounds. And BelliWelli has accomplished that. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, like you said, everyone is dealing with it.
Yep.
And why not make it cool?
Exactly. Yep. If you don't experience bloating once a week, let me know. I want to know what you're doing.
I know.
But we know after launching that it's everyone. I mean, we've gotten people reaching out to us right, left, and center saying, this is so me. Thank goodness someone's finally talking about this. And that was the point.
I have an aunt of mine that actually she's slowly cutting things out of her diet, and she never really had that many issues until she hit, I think, about 62. And oh my gosh, my heart goes out to her every single time. And, I've been plant-based now for 3 years, and heads up to all the vegans out there. This is a plant-based treat for you guys as well. And, you eat a lot of beans. Everyone knows beans, the magical fruit, it's just, there's a place for this treat in everyone's home, no matter what.
Yeah. We feel strongly. And I think everyone's on a different point in what I've kind of started to call your gut journey, right? There's some people who say, look, I know exactly what IBS is. I've had IBS for years, or I've had SIBO, and their top 3 Google searches are SIBO diet tricks or low-FODMAP recipes. There's that group. And then I think that group is a powerful group, but then the group that we've really had a fun time interacting with since our launch is this group who says, yeah, my stomach's kind of been bad for years, and I don't really know why. I kind of still eat the pizza, even though it totally kills me the next day, but something's not quite right, and I really don't know what it is. And we're having a great time interacting with that group, because I think it's BelliWelli, and it oftentimes is the first time they've seen that kind of feeling that they've probably been living with explicitly called out by a brand, right? So we've had a lot of people say, like, gosh, I saw, we had I mentioned this earlier in our call, this "my stomach hates me" phrase. We posted that the other day on our Instagram. We had so many people reach out saying, I've always said this, and it's so cool to see a brand calling this out. And that is the point. We wanted as many of those aha moments, we wanted everyone to know, we get you, we hear you, we feel you, and we did something about it, and we've done our homework.
And I think what's so unique about your brand too is that it's not that I hear you, but I am you. I've been
exactly right.
It.
Yep.
And,
great point, Sam.
And your gut journey, your stomach journey, and your, all the jazz that comes with that. I think that really is the reason why this brand is so unique and why it is so impactful, because you're one person that I know that probably had the shorter end of the stick on the gut situation. I mean, she's not joking, guys, when she said she's been through it all. And, she really, even just any little thing could set your stomach off at any point. And so for these treats to actually work for you and for BelliWelli to be something you can eat, that means it's probably pretty safe for majority of people.
It is. Our formulator kept saying, guys, do we really, does it really have to be low FODMAP, gluten-free, dairy-free, free from sugar alcohols, and probiotic packed? We're like, yeah, sorry, it does. But we wanted to double down. There's no question your stomach can handle these. That's for sure.
Yeah. And it's like when you talk to the person formulating it and you're like, do you want to deal with what happens if it's not all of those things? No, thank you.
Oh, yes. And I'm not above those moments. I very legitimately was out for a walk the other day, and this sounds like a plug. It's not a plug. I normally carry a BelliWelli bar with me, which is the point of this entire endeavor, right? Is to be able to have an on-the-go snack that I could eat while everyone else was eating, the Starbucks lemon pound cake without feeling left out. And I didn't have one with me. And so I caved. I know any of us with gut issues have had this moment more than once. And everyone I was with was getting an ice cream. I thought, you know what? I'm getting that ice cream. I will spare you the details, but honestly, it was like pain for 2 days. Yeah. So, and I fully believe that life's too short. If I'd had the BelliWelli bar or my gut safe snack, I could have gone about the day, joined in with everyone else, had a fun treat without the pain and the stress and the worry that came later. And that is what I so fully believe in. Yeah.
It's like ice cream, but it makes you scream. So
that is a great tagline. I love it. Oh yeah. I mean, I know anyone listening that's, again, had gut challenges. We've all had that moment where you decide in your head that maybe they're gone, and maybe this ice cream really is a great idea.
It's not going to be that bad.
Yeah. No, don't do it.
Don't do it. Grab some BelliWelli snacks and just snack on those.
Totally. Yep.
And you guys started with the chocolate chip flavor, but I've been noticing that you have quite a bit more flavors coming out. You want to talk about those?
Yeah, we actually did start. So we started with what we called for a long time the original, and we've since changed the name because we realized it was confusing. Original is usually plain, and this bar was not plain. So really our signature stamp when we first started IB Simple was adding pure peppermint oil to the bars.
Okay.
You'll find out in the world, there's plenty of peppermint flavored treats, right? Chocolate chip mint ice cream, Thin Mints. Those are all using mint flavoring. We decided when we were iterating in the home kitchen that we really wanted to go the extra mile and add real peppermint oil. So for anyone in the gut challenge community, doesn't work for everyone. We're definitely not claiming it does, but peppermint oil can be a great aid for those days or times when you've had the ice cream and you're experiencing a flare up. So we put those in the original bars. So we also know mint. This is interesting. Mint is like cilantro in that it's a polarizing flavor. So there's a lot of folks out there who hate mint. And I'm a mint lover, so this is foreign to me. But poor Nick, who is actually baking the bars every night, doesn't like mint. And we learned that is, again, a flavor that not everyone loves. So even from our home kitchen, we did, shortly after launching the original, launch a lemon white chocolate. And I'm a chocolate lover for life. I will never understand lemon people, but I learned very quickly there's a lot of you out there. There's a lot of people who totally believe fruit is a dessert and will agree to disagree. But the lemon white chocolate was quickly a fan favorite. So, and then eventually we launched a fudge brownie because, again, I'm a chocolate lover. So when we launched BelliWelli and, brought on a professional formulator to take Nick's homespun IB Simple version and, again, add many of those nutritional milestones that we wanted to accomplish, we said, look, we do want to launch with 4. So the 4th flavor that we added was a cinnamon. We arrived at that because we surveyed our community and they all told us they were craving a cinnamon or a cinnamon coffee cake.
Okay.
That won out over peanut butter, believe it or not.
So we took butter. I'm definitely butter all day.
Same. I'm already working on our next flavor. And again, I have this way of integrating chocolate into every flavor, and I'm trying to take a step back and say, does everyone want chocolate? But anyway, so we launched, me too. Yeah. We launched all 4 of those flavors, and the mint is now called minty chocolate because I think people try the original and expect a plain flavor, and this is not plain. It has a very strong mint taste. So it's been really fun to see. Any guesses, Sam, as to what our best seller is?
The best seller.
And again, I'll recap: cinnamon swirl, fudge brownie, minty chocolate, and lemon white chocolate.
Lemon, probably.
No, it's
Which
fudge
one?
brownie. Fudge brownie by a long shot. Yeah.
Good. I mean, chocolate should be at the top.
I agree, for sure. Yeah. So cinnamon was our addition.
Cinnamon's a new addition. So you guys have come a long way. I mean, this thing has really exploded since you launched, and you literally just launched fully in March, right? March 2021.
We did. We launched on March 23rd. We've sold out twice since launch.
Yay, congrats.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I think it actually just really speaks to the fact that there was a market for this. And we knew that because we were part of it. We were part of that community. But I think my hope is that other brands join the community and create more products for this community who desperately needs them. So we've got some crazy cool ideas going forward. We think our snack bars are just the beginning.
For
we'll
sure.
Expand out to snacks, and then I think there's an opportunity for us to touch most points in the grocery store.
You're going to be the Frito-Lay of IBS.
That's right. That's the goal. Yep.
I mean, it's so necessary it just doesn't exist. And like you said, too, making it fun, and you're actually asking your community what it is that you want, because let's be real, guys, if you didn't say you wanted lemon, there wouldn't be no lemon. So we're giving you what you want. She's listening. And then also something very cool that I just was so excited about is that article that was put out in Forbes just recently as well. I just want everyone to know about this huge success that you had.
Oh, so nice. Yeah, that certainly helped with launch. But I think, again, I think that article came out because, we're really passionate about disrupting a space that we think is in need of disruption. We think the low-FODMAP diet is the next mega trend simply because so many people are living with gut issues.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's starting to notice and be aware and start and prioritizing their gut. And I think what drove us crazy as consumers that were part of the gut challenge community was that so many products and CPG brands are claiming gut friendly, gut healthy, and they clearly haven't done the homework, right? If you're living with daily gut challenges, you can't have sugar alcohols. Yet a lot of these gut-friendly products are packed with sugar alcohols. So you think, it's clearly a mega trend, but we wanted to do it right and thoughtfully. And again, as part of the community, we felt we were in a position to do that. So I think that's why, Forbes was willing to do a piece on our launch. Right now, there's a lot of brands that are mission driven. And I think that's really this is an exciting time for food and CPG. And I think we fit into that category. Yeah. So yeah, it was really exciting. It was very cool.
Super exciting, guys. You can find it easily online. And, I was just thinking about all of the wonderful things that you guys are doing for the community for gut health, and, really just taking things to the next level. And we covered a lot of really interesting scientific things that I actually didn't know. But if you were to leave the listeners with one thing to take away about either BelliWelli or gut health tips, what would you want to say to them?
Yeah, this is strange advice, but it drove me crazy, or I should say it drives me crazy as part of the community. And I think I don't know what the solution is, but everyone's on a different path. So I always start every conversation with any potential customer and say, look, maybe our bars aren't for you. I hope they are, but they might not be. There is no one size fits all. And I think today there's a lot of advice getting shared on social media that's and sometimes it even borders on judgment, or, hey, you shouldn't be eating chia because chia does X, Y, and Z. And I think there's a lot of misinformation circulating out there. And I think in my own gut journey, my biggest takeaway has been, I've got to do what works for me. And lean into research, lean into science, lean into information, but ultimately make the decision that's working for your body. So we are going to champion that until the end. We are never going to stand on a platform and say, everyone with gut issues needs these bars. Do I think they're fabulous? And have we done our research, and have we worked with GI doctors and nutritionists and dietitians to bring you these bars? Yes. But I also realize everyone's on a unique path and journey. And that doesn't mean you're not part of the BelliWelli community. We're all in this together.
I love that. And, something that is kind of just popping up in my mind is in the sustainability community, there's something called greenwashing. It's when something's posted as natural and it's actually not. I think that there's something that's going on in your community called gut washing. And
it's such a good point.
And you're taking all of these things and bringing them to light. And I love that it's, you have it backed by science, backed by actual doctors, but really pure raw essential oils going into these bars, clean ingredients, eliminating all of the things that you're not supposed to be consuming to give you a nice little treat. And I just am so excited about the bars are just the beginning. We've got all the food needs to follow this type of formula so that everybody can stop having I scream, you scream situations.
I'm so going to never forget that. That sums up my last few days to a T.
I feel like I always come up with some really weird.
That was a good one.
On these interviews.
Yeah, where are you when we redo our slogan? Yeah.
Just give me a call. But yeah, so thank you so much for taking the time to explain what you guys are doing. I think everyone's going to really benefit from this, whether it's something as simple as bloating or you want something that's healthy for you in a snack, all the way through, people who are really struggling and like you had 26 antibiotics in 1 month. The spectrum is
out of 10. Do not recommend. But Sam, right back at you. What you're doing at the Conscious Basket is so important. I've even learned a lot as a first-time CPG founder. There's a lot of room for improvement in the space. There's a lot we can be doing, and I think transparency is key, right? With transparency, we can all work together to make changes on many fronts. And I think transparency is a great first step. It's what we've tried to do within our own ingredients and our own practices. So I love that you are highlighting that and prioritizing that. So cool, and so glad to be a part of this. We feel really honored.
Yeah. And of course, the anonymous supply chain is a thing of the past. All of this bullshit that everybody's telling you that just isn't true, there's no facts behind it. We're done with this. It's over. We're bringing real brands to the light that are doing the right thing. And we're not going to stand by people who are lying and not doing what's right for the public. So that's why I obviously reached out to you, because I love everything you're doing. And thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you all for joining us on another episode of Conscious Basket. And just a small reminder, Conscious Basket is not just hosting interviews. We are in the process of launching our marketplace, where our goal is to make it super easy for you to make conscious decisions about what you're buying by knowing the origin of the products and services. We're using our technology to highlight a transparent supply chain with our vendors, which means you know what goes into those products and where they came from, to make sure those things you buy don't weigh on your conscience. And to ensure this peace of mind, we have developed a score to rank the sustainability of the purchase. For instance, how much water is being used, trees saved, animal lives, human rights, and so on. So, if you're an entrepreneur with a sustainable product and would be interested in being on the platform, please email us at info@consciousbasket.com. Also, if you're an entrepreneur, thought leader, or academic that would like to be a guest on the show, please drop us a line at the same email. And if you're just interested in taking a closer look at us, you can also take a look at our website, which is www.consciousbasket.com. And as always, you can explore the topics we discussed in the show notes and find many more topics on all of our social platforms. So give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn @ConsciousBasket. If you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to our show and leave us a comment with any key takeaways. I read them all. Share with your friends, family, post a screenshot on your social about the podcast so that we can extend our reach to help propel our movement forward. Finally, just another small reminder that perfectionism is not the goal here. In my opinion, perfectionism is what gets in the way of all of us collectively picking what I like to call your thing, which is whatever you choose to make a positive impact on this world. Thank you again for joining us.